Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning.
Oh, hi, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I'm Sheila Gunn Reid, and I am really big, and Drea Humphrey is really, really small. And you are watching the Rebel News daily live stream, and we are working out some perspective kinks here. But this is
There.
a chance where, perfect, now you look good, but you could zoom me out a little bit. I'm 42 AD. Get me away from the camera. Thank you. This is the Rebel News daily live stream, wherein normally we resolve technical issues before we start the show, but that is not the case today. And it is an opportunity for us to sit down and talk with each other about the news of the day, some of it ridiculous, some of it serious. So if you're here for just serious stuff, you know what? Lighten up, because it's not always going to be that way. And I'm joined by my friend, Drea Humphrey. Drea, how's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't think we ever even done a live stream together before? I know we've done your show, but anyways.
Yeah. You've done my show a few times. Normally, I co-host with David, and you get the pleasure of co-hosting with someone else, but David's got some time off, so we're shuffling in some new talent, and I think we're going to have just as much chemistry. But I should tell everybody what we're doing here today before we get too far into the weeds. This show is an opportunity for us to talk about the news of the day as it happens in an unproduced way, where you'll get sort of the honest responses from your host about what's happening. It used to also be a chance for us to make a little money on YouTube, which we are still currently live streaming on. But YouTube completely demonetized us. And so people can no longer support the work that we do there through something called a super chat. But don't worry, because we have a solution to that. YouTube obviously doesn't want us there through their soft censorship and demonetization. But, you know, the more you don't want me somewhere, it's kind of how you get more of me. So we'll stay there, but we're also broadcasting on Rumble, Odyssey, and Super U. And those are three self-described neutral platforms, which is great, because I don't want to ever really know about their politics. I don't really care, because I don't want them to care about mine. So if you are watching us on one of those other platforms, on those platforms, there's an opportunity on each one of them to support the work that we do. Odyssey has something called a hyper chat. Rumble has something called a rant. And Super U has something called a shout. So you can talk back and forth. You can leave us a tip or tip us as a creator, give us a donation. And if you do that, Mr. Producer, AD, he will send it to me in a chat, and we'll do our best to answer your query, comment, or question, story idea on air. So that is all the nuts and bolts out of the day. Let's talk about, Drea.
Do we have to say that we're going to pop off of YouTube as well, right? Because sometimes things, too spicy for YouTube. So
we should say that it's true, and it's really spicy on YouTube means interesting and factual, but there are things that you just can't talk about on YouTube. So we're going to get to a certain point in the show today where we are going to say not goodbye to our YouTube viewers, but see you in a minute, and we'll continue the conversation exclusively on those other three platforms, because not only is YouTube demonetizing conservative platforms, but they are also putting us under extra scrutiny. And there are certain things that we cannot talk about. And I can't even say the things that we can't talk about, but one of them is questioning the advice of a local public health authority, because I say it all the time, apparently they are the infallible pope of the public healthcare system, according to big tech, and we cannot blaspheme against them. So once we get into COVID country, it gets a little too hot and a little too spicy, as Drea says, for YouTube. So please, there will come a time, just join us on the other platforms. So first off, we're going to start talking about the things that are YouTube safe, however dangerous on the eyes. I said in our little Slack channel where we talk about the things that we're going to talk about on the show, and I said if I don't get to talk about Nancy Pelosi's eyebrows, I'm going to quit. because
When
I
you said that, I
cannot-
hadn't actually seen them yet. And then I'm like, oh my gosh.
oh my goodness. Look at her.
Wow. Oh dear.
I
Oh.
just, you know, I've never done anything gracefully, right? Never, nothing. I've never been known for my grace, never been described that way. And I'm sure aging is going to be the same. I'm probably not going to do it gracefully, but this is next level. I described her as looking like a Picasso painting, where you know that those are human features, but they seem to be all in the wrong place. And Tucker Carlson described her as Michael Jackson last night. This is like, I don't know if she's got like a bread bag clip or something on the back of her head that's just like yanking things up. And, you know, I just, at this point, because I don't know if this is too many facelifts or what, but that's a lot of stillness on an aging lady's face that I'm looking at right there. And I think maybe
it
she
almost
should just
looks
like
as though,
buzz them off.
sorry.
No, I was,
Yeah,
go ahead,
it almost
please, I'm
looks
talking
like
too
the
much.
eyebrows. To me, it looks like her eyebrows just had enough. You know what? They're done. And they're just slowly finding a way to escape from her face. That's what it looked like. Oh my gosh. And it's like you said, I mean, when you age, you don't typically go up. So that's just a little bit too much. I do see the Michael Jackson in it as well. So
I became so obsessed with her eyebrows the other night that I went through a decade and a half of just pictures of Nancy Pelosi to see where they started. And they started like in normal. Yeah, look at this.
Look at that. Much better. Wow. Why? Oh,
I don't know.
Goodness.
It's just,
and it's kind of like like you can trust what I'm saying look as well. And it's like the camera needs to zoom in slowly, and she's hypnotizing you as well when they're that high. Oh dear. That's
but that's
a great
what she
pause.
should be doing. You know, buzz them off, because obviously where they are is high now because they keep yanking her skin up and then tucking it under her hairline. That's what's happening there. So buzz them off and then draw them on where they're supposed to be. But she looks, how did I describe? Remember those birds that you would draw when you're a kid and they would look like M's? That's sort of like the shape that they are. She's just like, I don't know.
Oh man. Okay, did we get it? Are you staying with us?
Someone tell your grandma she looks ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on. I've spent too much time on this because in my monitor here, it's just Nancy Pelosi's eyebrows. I got to find something better to do with my time. Let's move along to the state broadcaster, because they really don't want us to return back to normal, right? They're trying to find reasons to keep everybody apart and not go back to your normal life. Remember when they said, like, get 2 vaccines and then everything will go back to normal? And then they're like, no, 2 vaccines and a booster, then everything will go back to normal. And now they're like, 2 vaccines, a booster, double mask, everybody stay away, sanitize everything. Isolation. And now they really don't want you to go back to work. So they're saying remote work is protecting employees from toxic workplaces. And they don't mean COVID workplaces. They mean toxic environments where people might not always get along. And now employers must do better.
Oh man, are you going to read some of that?
Go ahead. Yeah, I am, because I don't even understand what's going on here. I want to ask.
I'm sure you're going to get to the good part.
Yeah, because you are apparently racialized and marginalized.
I hate that word, racialized. It's like, oh my gosh. I do not believe a person of color came up with that. Like, I just don't think we would call ourselves racialized.
Because it sounds like it's something we did to you. And like,
exactly. It's so bad.
We racialized you. Us people did this to you. Anyways, for many racialized and marginalized employees, the option to work at home has given them a sense of relief that you exhaled. So possibly you're relieved. It goes on to say, many work environments that do not foster safe spaces for othered racialized and marginalized people can often become toxic. If we're talking about marginalized and othered, try being unvaccinated in the healthcare industry. If you want to talk about a difficult workplace. She says, working from home is a safer space because we can be our authentic self. Acknowledging that people can still be subject to microaggressions through remote work. Drea, help me understand all of this.
Well, it's hard for me to understand too. First of all, since when is the Canadian workplace so racist that you have to be home to be safe? I'm sorry, but that's just not a reality. I think she goes on to say, now she can avoid comments about her hair. It's I've had people say things about my hair, and it's mostly just out of curiosity. I mean, we just spent a good 5 minutes talking about Nancy Pelosi's eyebrows. It's not like that when they talk about my hair. It's just out of interest because it's different. It's not a big deal, but you do not have to go home. And imagine employers start to be like, hey, since you're racialized, you can work from home. That sounds racist to me. You don't
like
have
segregation.
To be around.
Hang on.
Yeah. What is going on here? You just be home, stay away from your coworkers, we'll be fine all together. And, obviously there are benefits to working from home from some people. I mean, we do that for the most part. But it also seems like it's tying in with the whole World Economic Forum. They don't want us driving to places and things like that. So they're just using, as always, racism is just going to be worked into there. And they find the most woke person who probably just has social anxiety and never liked going to the office in the first place, and now feel so secure, isolated in their home. But there are so many benefits. When we get to go to the office, it's amazing seeing everybody. And I think somewhere in that article, it also says oh, I'm at home, and so I don't have to hear any work chatter. You just don't like people. That's what this is,
Yeah, you're some sort of agoraphobe. This has got nothing to do with your race. You just don't like being outside of your house, which is strong social anxiety. But listening to you describe that, we're going to send all the Black people home because we think that they can't handle social interactions. That sounds like segregation. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be against that, right?
I thought so anyways, oh my goodness.
No,
you just can't keep up with this. What's next?
Well, speaking of what's next, I'm glad you say that, because it seems to me the three things that currently are constantly used to control your life are COVID, climate change, and racism. And climate change, there's really nothing that it can't do. I remember with Adam, we were talking about how climate change gave koala bears some sort of STD. And somebody reported that with complete seriousness. And now in the latest news, climate change can give you kidney stones. Apparently, they found some guy. They found some guy. You know what? The problem is that if you want to be a researcher and have your research funded, all you have to do is put climate change in your research pitch. in your pitch deck, I guess, as they say, because that's how you get money. And if you can link climate change to any sort of problem that is not, if you can make climate change responsible for things that you probably should be responsible for, like bad diet. Here it is. Rising temperatures from climate change will lead to more kidney stone cases, a new study has found. Dr. Gregory Tazian is a pediatric urologist at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and the lead author of the study. And he says, while it is impossible to predict with certainty how future policies will slow or hasten greenhouse gas emissions and anthropogenic climate change. Okay, so you just said it's impossible. So let's just stop right there. Give me back the study money. Anyways, he goes on to say, our analysis suggests that a warming planet there's a lot of like will, likely, could possibly in this.
It's a lot of nothing.
Yeah, our analysis suggests that a warming planet will likely cause an increased burden of kidney stone disease on healthcare systems. How? That's what I want to know is how. Okay.
Yeah.
Then they tell us what kidney stones are. Hard mineral deposits. They can form from a variety of reasons, including diet. Yeah, it seems probably it. Genetics, obesity, and taking certain medications and supplements. Okay, so there's a lot of things here that are lifestyle related, but we don't want to talk about that. Say it is well established that high ambient temperatures increase the risk of developing kidney stone disease. Proposed mechanism.
I think we're losing you. Okay.
No. I'm back?
Losing you on the sound a bit.
Maybe.
But I'm still feeling you. But basically, I'll talk a bit.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a whole lot of nothing. And then they get into the facts about what actually causes kidney stones. And it's not anything new that different types of weather can affect a person. Like, for example, if maybe you have arthritis or something in certain times of the year, you're going to have more troubles based on the weather, but that's not climate change. And finding one person and basing it off of that and it could be an array of things. I don't know how people read this and then just go, okay, yeah, let's talk. Oh, now climate change is going to give us kidney stones. And what are you going to do about it? If that's the case.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think they go on to link the kidney stones to dehydration, which, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But then they say you're going to be more dehydrated because the climate's going to be warmer. And I'm like, well, why don't you just drink more water, which is what normal people do when the weather warms up?
Exactly. Yeah.
How much did that study cost?
That's what I want to know. How much funding did they get?
Now, there's one here, next story, and we're just sort of breezing through them because, as David Menzies says, it's a real packed sausage of a day here. But this is one that you've been on the beat of because you had that really great interview with Kenny Chiu, former conservative MP, who was a target of China. They threw as much as they could at him in his riding, and he lost his seat. Very close. And I think they want to tell other MPs, you be careful now and you shut up about us or you're going to get the old Kenny Chiu treatment. And that's the message they sent. Canada's spy agency warns MPs to beware of influence operations from China. China's basically telling our MPs, don't talk about Uyghurs, don't talk about maybe where the Wuhan virus came from. Again, I'm just floating a thought bubble. YouTube, don't come for me. Don't talk about genocide.
I think we're allowed to talk about that now.
Who knows? But they're trying to scare the other MPs into silence.
Totally. And, just a little back history on that, in case people didn't see the interview. There are 13 ridings that pretty much were confirmed in the last election to have been victims of foreign interference. Who knows? Maybe there's more. One MP lost his seat by 300 votes, I believe, which is so minuscule. So, you can't say that none of them would have lost. But, this is a serious threat we're seeing here. And it's going to be interesting to see how MPs address this. You would think all MPs in any party should be getting together and, making a big stink and making sure that our next election is going to be secure. We're going to have valid results. I'm not so sure we're going to see people like Kenny Chiu speaking out and warning Canadians about why we need to take this seriously, even though, CSIS has been warning us for years about this. And over the last year, they've been saying it's been getting, way more, there's way more evidence of it. So big deal.
Yeah, I don't expect the Liberals are going to do anything about it either, especially given that it's breaking in their favor. China's picking off conservative MPs, and that should tell you everything you need to know about the Liberals' relationship with China.
Yeah. And I mean, we know the liberals don't want to talk about the Uyghurs anyway. So,
No, no. What's a genocide? Is it really a genocide? I don't know.
It's
Let's send
only
a guy
a
to
genocide.
investigate.
Yeah, it's only a genocide when it benefits me.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about this Sunwing party flight, because this party flight,
Woo!
this is why Sunwing Airline exists, by the way. So I don't know why anybody's surprised that this happened on a Sunwing flight. This is why Sunwing is in business and will remain in business, by the way, because there's such a demand for this. But it's gotten so big that I think the Prime Minister even weighed in on this. And because, first of all, Sunwing passengers, not Sunwing employees, why did you Instagram this? Nobody would care, but you put this on social media. Bad idea, Jeans.
Yeah.
But I don't care why. I don't care if people are on a flight having fun. That looks fun. I mean, I'm a little old for this, and I'd have to go to bed early, and I wouldn't feel great the next day. But you know, like, I don't understand what the danger is. They're vaping on a plane, but I don't understand what the danger is to public safety. These guys were all tested. They were all double vaxxed. Sounds like you don't think their vaccine works. You're stuck in a hermetically sealed tube for hours. I don't care if they get up and dance, right?
Well, and you're on a plane, recycled air, you're already crammed in there like sardines. Even if you're sitting there bored out of your mind, what is the difference? What is the science behind attacking them? And you're right, with the testing and everything like this, it's just they don't want to see people having fun. That's all it is. But it's okay if you see, you know, we saw Trudeau, and I don't know if they released the balloons or whatever they released in the air, and he's not social distancing from the Queen or anything like that. No mask. They're all having fun, having a good time. But because these guys are not, politicians and maybe having more fun, I don't know, they get in trouble. And is it true that some of them are losing their jobs as well over this? Like, what the heck's going on there?
Some of them are getting fired from their jobs. None of this party plane stuff has anything to do with your job performance, but their employers now are firing them because they did this on a Sunwing plane. I don't know how this really affects the rest of the country. And I'm glad you brought up Justin Trudeau, because in some of our access to information investigations, I like to pull the food bills on the Challenger plane. And some of those the booze bills, $5,000, so much liquor for just like a small amount of people, 6-8 people traveling here and there, and you're seeing like $5,000 liquor bills. So this isn't any more poorly behaved, I think, than Justin Trudeau's party plane Challenger jet when he's taking it around the world to tell us about climate change. It's just that they stuck it on Instagram, and Justin Trudeau doesn't do that.
Exactly. That's the difference. And maybe the vaping.
Maybe the vaping.
Oh, I hope they had the time of their life. I mean, who put that on Instagram? That's the thing. You got to tell the young people, come on, man. It's like, you don't put anything out there you don't want people to see. Yeah.
I don't know. And again, I go back to, this is why Sunwing is in business. Sunwing is the party airline. I don't know what it's like from Vancouver, but there's like Sunwing flights all the time to Mexico, to this like cheaper resorts in Mexico, the cheaper resorts in Las Vegas. It's what they do. It's affordable party planes for young people. So this is what happened. And also, you keep young people cooped up in a pressure cooker where they can't go out for a drink with their friends on the weekend. They can't mix, they can't mingle. And then you stick them on a plane off to the freedom of Mexico. This is what you get.
And well, let's not forget to get on that plane. You've done your part according to the government, and you're still not allowed to have fun. I mean, that's the reality we live in, right? You're still not free. The broken promises.
Now, speaking of Mexico, the CTV this time, different fearmonger, same kind of idea. They don't also want you to go back to normal because they want you to be scared to go to Mexico because Mexico is free and it's kind of a cheap holiday. And if you go there, you are going to die. According to CTV, you're going to be murdered by a cartel. And so they're saying the Canadians are murdered in Mexico over the last few years. More of them are murdered in Mexico than anywhere around the world. But that's also because it's the place that we go to the most. Like, this is where we go. Right. This is the sunny vacation where Canadians go. So naturally, if more Canadians are going there, more Canadians will be victims of crime there. That's just how statistics work.
We don't typically go, like, you know, on vacation to, I don't know, El Salvador or something, unless you have family there, because you know that it is more dangerous. So this is the safe place that we travel to. And now we're traveling there in droves, sometimes not coming back because of the state of Canada. So you're right. Statistically, it just makes sense. But, you know, it's this horrifying headline and article, stay away from almost the land of the free right now, Mexico.
Yeah. Don't you go to Mexico, because you might end up on a plane with someone who's vaping. And when you get there, you're going to get murdered. So don't even bother. Just stay here, stay in Canada, stay scared, and be grateful that you're working from home because all of your colleagues are racist. That's what I've learned in the first 25 minutes of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man.
Now,
I'd go to Mexico if I could right now.
Me too. We can work from anywhere. So maybe we should go to Mexico. Now I think we're 25 minutes into the show. We breezed through all of the YouTube safe stuff. And we will say goodbye to YouTube, but not goodbye to our YouTube viewers, because we would love it if you would continue to watch the show and join us over on one of the other platforms. Those are Rumble, Odyssey, and Super U. And Mr. Producer will whisper in my ear when we are all clear of YouTube, so that we can talk about the things that YouTube doesn't want you to have any ideas about. No, your little